I'm joined now by the opposition leader Anastasia Palaszczuk, who is at Kangaroo Point, just up the Brisbane River from me. Good morning to you, Ms Palaszczuk.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm very well, loving this beautiful Brisbane weather. Let's start with that brain snap of yours on FM radio yesterday. It's a pretty bad look, isn't it, for any political leader not to know the GST rate?
Oh, everyone knows it's 10%. These things just happen. I was doing 3 interviews, I didn't have a coffee, time to move on.
It's not good enough, though, just to blame it on a lack of caffeine in the morning, no?
Oh, look, I'm focused on this election. We have 1 day to go to stop the sale of our assets in this state. I've been travelling the length and breadth of Queensland. I've been speaking to Queenslanders one-on-one. I've been very encouraged by what families are saying to me, and they do not want their assets sold. We will keep those assets in public hands, and Labor will use the profits to pay down debt and restore frontline services in health and education. This is what Queenslanders are telling me. This is what they want. They don't want any more of this arrogance and out of touch we've seen from Campbell Newman over the last 3 years. They want integrity and accountability restored back to their Queensland Parliament. This is a government that has failed to listen to Queenslanders. They have divided Queenslanders, not united Queenslanders. And what we've seen over the last 3 years have been fights after fights after fights. They have torn this state apart. There's no plan for the future under the LNP, and we don't even know if Campbell Newman's going to hold his seat.
We'll get on to that shortly, but of course you were a minister in a Labor government that actively pursued an asset sale program.
Well, I said very clearly after the last election that we heard what Queensland voters had to say. And we were reduced to 7 members of the Queensland Parliament out of 89. We've had 2 by-elections since then, Redcliffe and Stafford, where we've seen huge swings against this government. But we know that this is a David and Goliath battle, with 9 members of the Queensland Parliament up against 89. But after that last election, there was a very clear message sent to me, and that was Queenslanders do not want their assets sold. That is fundamentally why we were reduced to 7 members of the Queensland Parliament. And this government, they're going on this massive spending spree. They want to sell $37 billion worth of assets, or is it $47 billion? Campbell Newman doesn't quite know whether it's $37 or $47 billion. Can't guarantee he'll get the price for the assets that he's wanting to sell. And once they're gone forever.
Of course, they may not like asset sales, but a lot of voters do vote with their hip pocket. They may enjoy the largesse that flows from that $37 billion. You're offering a relatively modest $1.6 billion in promises by contrast. Are you worried you're simply outspent by the Liberal National Party?
Oh, we are definitely outspent. But what I am showing Queenslanders is that I am serious, that we will run a budget and economy which is responsible. We recognise that we have to pay down the debt, but we know that the frontline services of health and education have been savagely cut. Campbell Newman cut 24,000 jobs right across Queensland in his term as Premier. Unemployment is nowhere near the 4%. It's now at 6.6%. This is a man who has done nothing for this state but take us backwards, back to the pre-Fitzgerald era. We've got secret donations coming into the LNP. They've raised the thresholds of electoral donations. They've appointed their own person to head up the anti-corruption watchdog in this state. So they have control of the anti-corruption watchdog in this state. So they're not going to be investigating this government for anything they do. And this is not the way that Queensland should be viewed by the rest of Australia, and it's certainly not the way that Queenslanders want their government to run. So I'm very serious about running a consensus government.
I think you'll find the unemployment rate, I think you'll find the unemployment rate's down to 6.1%.
6.6 on the seasonal trend.
Okay, now looking at the broader picture, the government, of course, has put a lot of people offside, as you say, but do you think, though, that winning those 36 seats to regain government, a massive 12% swing is just a mission too far for you?
Well, as I said, David and Goliath. We've never had anything like this before in Queensland politics. But what I sense out there, I sense that Queenslanders want to change. I'm sensing their frustration, and I'm sensing that they want to send Campbell Newman a message. They don't want the fights anymore. They want a government that listens. They want integrity and accountability restored. But fundamentally, they want their assets kept in public hands. They don't want these assets sold, full stop.
How confident are you Kate Jones, the former MP for Ashgrove and former minister, will take that seat off Campbell Newman?
Well, in Ashgrove, it's going to be tight. I've been speaking to Kate on a regular basis, and I was out there with her volunteers. She's got over 400 volunteers. She even has people on her team who voted LNP last time, who've come over to work for Kate Jones. She is working so hard out there, but she said to me, it's close and tight on the ground. We don't know what's happening out there, but she's going to work right up into the finish line, and there's just one day to go.
Now, if there is a sizable swing, as some of those polls do suggest tomorrow, Anastasia Palaszczuk, how much of that will be down to you and how much of it will be down to Tony Abbott in your perspective?
Look, we've been working hard for 3 years. What we've seen is we have been taking the fight up to this government each and every day. We have been standing by the side of Queenslanders. We have been with them every step of the way. When Campbell Newman's broken promises to them, we've been there raising it. When he's been sacking parliamentary committees, we've been out there saying it's not right. So it has been a slow and steady rise. It's like climbing Mount Everest. I know the task that I'm up against, but we've had a really hard-working team, 9 members. It's a close team. They've worked as hard as they possibly can, and tomorrow, hopefully, Queenslanders will get their chance to keep our assets and to send Campbell Newman and his arrogant, out-of-touch government a very clear message.
And finally, and very quickly, would you like to stay on as leader, whatever the result tomorrow?
I am focused on one job, and that is becoming Premier of this state.
Anastasia Palaszczuk, thank you very much for your time and good luck tomorrow.
Thank you very much.